Hello again. Today, we will talk about regulation, from co-regulation to self-regulation. All parents want their children to be successful in life. And by successful, we mean not just having a good job and a good income, but also being happy. And all parents wonder how they can make that happen. According to Harvard Center on the Developing Child, it's less about your IQ and how well you do in school, but more about how a child is able to navigate life's challenges as they grow that determines how they will succeed in life. Children who learn self-regulation grow up to be adults that are able to self-regulate. Studies have shown that children with self-regulation skills become adolescents and adults with greater academic success, higher self-esteem, higher incomes, and better physical health. It really is the key to success. There is a particular longitudinal study that followed a group of individuals from birth into their 30s that showed that the children who struggled with self-regulation as preschoolers were 3 times as likely to have problems as young adults. These could be difficulties with school success, relationships, finding a job, and financial independence. This study doesn't prove that the lack of self-regulation in childhood caused these problems, but it does make the case that developing strong self-regulation and self-control can help people feel successful and happy in life. So what is self-regulation? It is the ability to manage one's own emotions and behavior in order to achieve a desired outcome. This is sitting down for meals, not having a tantrum when you want a toy, listening to a book being read to you. It is a foundational component of child development. When you say you are regulated, it is when we experience a balanced and steady state of internal energy, emotions, thoughts, and physiological processes. It is often referred to as self-regulation because the end goal is to regulate independently without assistance or prompting. It is complex and demands energy from our bodies, thoughts, and feelings. However, it is important to understand that self-regulation is not a skill that can be taught in isolation. Instead, it is a process that is best learned through co-regulation. Our ability to regulate or find our balance is developed throughout our lifetime when we experience co-regulation with someone else. All children need support to learn to regulate themselves, and the ability to self-regulate takes time to mature. So how do people or children learn to regulate their bodies, behaviors, and emotions? How can parents help children learn to self-regulate? The answer is through co-regulation. Regulation develops first through external regulation. This is when all of our needs are met by an outside person. So for example, when a baby cries, the parent picks up the baby to rock him and soothe him until he stops crying. Over time, children then move into a period of time of co-regulation. Co-regulation is when someone can find and maintain regulation with the support and assistance of an outside person. Simply teaching regulation strategies to our children isn't enough. Co-regulation has to be experienced in relationships in order for us to develop the ability to manage stressors and face challenges. Once a child has a strong foundation in co-regulation, they are then better equipped to learn self-regulation. This is because they have learned how to recognize their own emotions and behaviors and have been provided with the tools and techniques needed to manage them effectively. Schenker breaks down co-regulation into 2 strategies for support: up-regulating and down-regulating. These strategies can be used by the co-regulator to assist the child to achieve a regulated state. You can use yourself, by changing your voice, your manners, your touch, your distance, and your facial expression in order to upregulate or downregulate the child as needed by the situation. You can also change the environment in terms of lighting, sounds, demands to help regulate the child. As an example, a child who is lethargic or unresponsive can be upregulated to participate in a social situation by the co-regulating adult by heightening the intensity of their vocalizations, gestures, and smiles, increasing the lighting and using movement. On the other hand, a child who is hyperactive may be calmed by a soothing voice, dimming the lights, or using heavy work. Adults can provide whatever upregulation or downregulation is required to help the child achieve a state where they are calm, focused, alert, and ready to participate. Parents have an important role in supporting children to co-regulate through developing trusted relationships and modeling. For example, regulation is modeled by using tone of voice, facial expression, body language, and energy state to co-regulate with a child. Successful regulation happens when the following is applied. Co-regulation is the goal first, then self-regulation. Regulation strategies are modified to the specific child. The co-regulator knows the child well and is in tune with how the child manages or doesn't manage in a variety of circumstances and environments. Co-regulation strategies can be used by any of us, even into adulthood, to help us process in times of stress and when we are feeling overwhelmed. This diagram is from the Zones of Regulation program. There are two main factors that can impact regulation. These are the level of arousal, which is an internal factor, and the level of stimulation, which is the external factor. Both of these factors can be understood by viewing them as gradient scales from low levels to high levels. All levels of arousal are preferred and necessary. There are times of the day when sleep is important and other times when being awake and alert is important. Ideally, co-regulation and learning works best for children from a moderate to high level of arousal. The levels of stimulation diagram demonstrate that in general, some levels of stimulation are preferred over others. The green, which is low, represents the most preferred state. Yellow is a sometimes preferred state, but perhaps not long-term, and red is the least preferred state. Levels of stimulation for students with complex needs or children can be impacted by environments, external sensory information, and the ability to process sensory information. Ideally, co-regulation and learning work best for children from a low level of stimulation to moderate level of stimulation. So having an understanding of the levels of regulation, of arousal and stimulation, how can parents help their children learn co-regulation and self-regulation skills? Here are a few tips. You can model appropriate behavior. Children learn by watching their caregivers. If you want your child to learn how to regulate their emotions and behaviors, it is important to model appropriate behavior yourself. Provide comfort and support during times of stress. When your child is upset, provide comfort and support by listening to their concerns and helping them come up with solutions. This will help them learn how to manage their emotions and behaviors in a healthy way. Establish clear and consistent boundaries. Children need structure and routine in order to feel safe and secure. Establishing clear and consistent boundaries help your child learn how to regulate their behavior. And lastly, encourage independence. As your child grows older, encourage them to take on more responsibility for their own emotions and behavior. This will help them develop the skills needed for self regulation. Self regulation is a lifelong skill that is essential for success in both personal and professional relationships. All children are capable of self regulation. However, there are children who need more assistance with regulation and sensory processing to help navigate the world. Co regulation can assist that navigation so that they have current and future quality of life. By focusing on co regulation first, parents can help their children develop the skills needed for self regulation. This will not only benefit them in the short term, but will also set them up for success in the long term. So take the time to engage in co regulation with your child and watch as they grow into confident, self regulated individuals.